6th of February 2025, Thursday, and the US markets have just opened. I have a few planned entries for today, as I do every day. These will be mechanical entries based on research that I do daily and spreadsheets that I consult to decide which entry to take for any given day. I monitor results of multiple entries and only take an entry when it's been proven to work regularly in the last period of time. So for today, the first entry will be the break of the second 5-minute bar in the Dow Jones Index. And then we will also have the break of the first 15-minute bar in the Nasdaq, the break of the second 15-minute bar in the DAX, and then a few other entries I might have. I might have something else in the Dow, but I'll tell you when we get to that point. Let's just focus on these entries for now, because the others are a bit later. And I will bring you back when we are close to completing the second 5-minute candle in the Dow. So I was planning on taking the break of this particular candle, which is at 13:45 GMT time. I'm on GMT plus 2. But I was also only interested if it broke to the upside. So my research shows that if this candle recently, and I mean in the past few weeks, if price breaks to the upside, then it's profitable to go long and target around 9 to 10 points. It broke to the downside, so there was no fill. These are the results for today from the morning session. If you haven't seen that, it was a decent session. Could have been better. I manually exited this trade after going long because it was ranging for a while and it was starting to look weak. And I was thinking that the chances of it revisiting the lows were high and stopping me out, so I just exited. And then it ranged for a bit more and finally broke out. So I would have hit TP on this, but I'm fine with that decision. I gave it plenty of time and it just wasn't happening, so I decided to play it on the safe side. For some entries today, I will use a higher sizing than I normally do, so I will go to 0.75% risk on some entries. And this is because some entries are really much better than others in performance lately. And so I am simply employing a dynamic risk allocation where I am risking more on my best entries. So, for example, Nasdaq first 15 minutes is going to be one of those. And to compensate, I will also take some other entries a bit lower, which are still profitable, but maybe not super profitable lately. So I will be taking those in smaller size. And this is just a way to capitalize more on the best entries, those that bring the best results. It makes sense to risk a bit more for them. So let's see, we've just started the second 5-minute bar here, 5 minutes, and we will place our orders, so I'll bring you back for that. And the second 5-minute bar has just completed. I've placed the orders quickly here. Before I complete it, I will be going a bit lower size for this entry. It had 2 bad days in a row, so I'm employing dynamic risk allocation. So going a bit lower. The bar is not that big, from 944 to 887, so I could have gone higher here. but just going lower when an entry starts being a bit more shaky but still profitable. This way, if it works, I still make some money, and if it doesn't work, I don't lose as much. So, and this little change in strategy comes after a lot of research and analysis of my results. So looking at ways to improve, of course. And now I'm waiting for a fill here, while also waiting for the completion of the first 15-minute bar in the Nasdaq, and this will be a higher size entry. So it's currently only a 40-ish point bar. This will allow me to go quite big on the sizing, but let's see where we end up in 3-4 minutes. I might have to reduce it a bit more, but let's see. And after that, I'm going to be looking at the completion of the second 15-minute bar in the DAX, but I might also have an extra entry for the Dow, and I'll explain it then. But let's see first if we get a quick fill here. What I'm also going to be doing differently is the way I add to positions. I decided to employ a more mechanical process to adding as well. So instead of me just waiting for price to close above a level and add then, I will just add when there is real strength to the move. So I will be using ATR, and after I enter a move, if we went in the right direction in the first 5 minutes since entering, a value that equals ATR, and we close at that value or above, I will be adding to the position. So basically I want an ATR equal move. So let's say we get filled short here in the Dow. If we move 30 points in the first 5 minutes and close bearish close, not without the wick, bearish close, 30 plus points in profit, then I would be adding to the position. So it has clear rules, and I would also be more aggressive with a stop loss when I add. So basically, I will be looking for positions where I can catch strong moves, make more money on them, but lower the risk. So I will get stopped out more often, but when I win, I will win a lot more, and I'm also managing the stop so that when I do get stopped out, the loss isn't as big. So it's a win-win, and hopefully you'll see it in action. 40 more seconds until we complete this bar. Would be cool if it stays this size. It's like a 43-point bar. Let's go like this, because of course we're going to close at the highs here, which makes application of this a bit more difficult, but I do not like entering manually, so I do like to place orders generally, but with price being so close here, it's going to be tough, and I have to go manually because I would have gotten, yeah. So I'm risking 0.77%. Should be going a bit lower, but let's take just a bit off here, just so the risk is appropriate. Okay, so I'm risking 75 now. And for a target here, I'm gonna check my spreadsheet first. So at least 50 points, but more often than not I've made 80 to 100 on this move. So now let's look at the structure and see. Let me just quickly adjust this. So let's see where 80 points is. 80 points is here. Let's go 73. Just right into this consolidation here. As a target, I think that is fine. Now, the ATR is 26 on the 15-minute. Let's just go to the 5-minute, because I should add on a lower time frame. And now, what I'm interested to see here is if we close, so we entered at 21,690. So let's round it up to 20 points. So we would have to close above 710. So right above this wick here. And if we close at this level on this 5-minute bar, I will add. And that is the only circumstance in which I'm adding. So clear rules, but I won't be adding just the same amount. I think it's good to go a bit lower for the add-on. Three minutes until this bar completes. So I'll give it basically the first 5 minutes after entering. So now if it were to close above 21,710, I would add to the position. So let's see, I'll pause you for 2 minutes. And we're just closing here now on this 5-minute bar. Sadly, it does leave a wick behind and close below our entry point, which is a bit unfortunate because this bar here represents the previous day high, so we've just rated that and now we're trying to retrace. Now, because we haven't rated the very top of London session and Asia session here, I'm not as concerned. Were this the top of Asia session and London session, I would be more inclined to believe that we'll be losing on this trade. But let's see, there are some buyers stepping in, so adding to the position is out of the question now, but we can still hope to hit. I was looking at the ATR of the past few days, and today we are a bit below it. So maybe instead of targeting for 80 points here, I'm going to go just a bit lower. I'm going to go to 60 points, just because it seems to not be as volatile as yesterday. So just a 1-to-1 R&R, and we have been filled short here in the Dow. So let me delete this. This in turn is lower sizing. So risking just $32 here. And in terms of target for the Dow Jones, on good days we make 100 points, 180 points, 100 points. On the lowest days where we won, we made 60 points and 50 points. So with the volatility being a bit lower, let's go to the lower part of that range and target like 70 points. So this is a 1-to-1 as well, but just targeting 70 points here to the downside. And we are opposites. We are short Dow, long Nasdaq, which happens quite often, so it's not really a worry. And same rules apply here. If we close, so 30 ATR on the 5-minute time frame is 33. So if we close 33 points lower here in the next 5 minutes, so our entry is at 881. So 30 points, we would need to close below 850 for me to add. And I would add the same size here because it's quite a small size. So basically we would add if we close just below London session. That could be a bit risky because the low of London session can act as a reversal point. So I'm always interested in, and this is why I have this indicator that shows me the sessions. So the yellow square on every chart is London session. So the extremities of these sessions are very relevant to me. And I always look for when price goes below an extremity, raids that extremity, then reverses back into the range. It's a nice reversal pattern. So Nasdaq is now breaking out after faking a fake breakout. So this actually looks quite good now, but we still need to clear London session high. And once we do that, I can be confident in hitting TP in this trade. Well, let's see. My other entry for the Dow, or my next entry for the Dow, would have been a break of the range formed by the second 5-minute candle all the way to the fifth 5-minute candle. But I'm already short here, and I don't really want to add, except for if we respect the ATR move in the first 5 minutes, which we aren't. And I'm obviously not gonna place a long order at the stop here, because I think we're right in the middle of the range, and I just don't really like to switch from short to long that quickly. But let's see, and we've retraced again in the Nasdaq, so a bit of a difficult price action, of course. We got even closer to the highs of London session and rejected, so a bit undecided here, but let's see, a bit of a fight going on. And Dow is trying to move lower. We might be actually or no, because actually we entered earlier. The time has passed. I think 5 minutes have passed anyway, and we have ways to go until we close here, so adding is out of the question now, but I would still hope we hit. Let's see. And the DAX is breaking out now. On the DAX, a strong close above a session's high or below a session's low is a trigger for me. However, I am planning on entering off the break of the second 15-minute candle for the DAX today. So I'm just going to wait for that. And let's see what happens. So I'm just going to manage these positions. It's not looking particularly great in the Dow, but I'll be patient. Gold seems to be dumping here. I don't have another entry in the gold, not another mechanical one anyway. But say we raid the low of London session here, then we close back inside strongly, then that is a long trigger for me. And we're also getting close to previous day low, which is also a very relevant point for possible pivots. Okay, so I think I've talked enough here. Just gonna wait for price to do its thing. Would be nice to hit TP here because of the higher sizing, but nothing we can do but wait. So we are now completing the second 15-minute bars. And I'm going to place my buy order above here in the DAX. And actually I will not place a short order because I'm only interested in the long trigger here. So if we would have retraced to below the candle, I would have deleted the long trigger, but I'm only interested in the long trigger here based on my research. So I am placing the stop. It's risking 57, so I'm risking more on this entry. Again, because it's one of my better ones. And quickly checking my research. 60 points, 35, 90, 45, 55, 80. So again, let's just go in the middle of that range. And I'll just go for 50 points here, 50 solid points. Could go for more actually, let's just go for like 55. Okay. So 55 in that. And what's interesting here is that gold is at previous day low, dumping below it. ATR is at 374. Trying to recover here. This might be a good place to attempt a swing long position. So I'm just gonna go a bit lower in size. 0.04 should do. And now going on a higher time frame, I'm just gonna go right below the next relevant wick basically. And just a bit lower, let's say an even $35 risked. And since we were at all-time highs, looking at the daily here, I can let this run. Can definitely hope for this to make it even all the way back, but let's not say quite all the way back. Let's just go here at this level. I think risking 35 to make 134 would be pretty nice. So let's just do that, why not? Initial reaction in the DAX is nice. Now let me see if this is a place where I could add. ATR is 20 basically. 857. So if we close above 877, that is an add-on. So I'm just going to prepare the sizing here. A bit lower always for the add-on. Just going to keep my eyes on that. And yeah, now it's just a patience game. Let's see what happens. I'll bring you back if I do something. So I have added to the DAX position. We closed on the very next candle, we closed at the very top. So I am lowering the stop of the original entry to just below this candle. So risking just $28 here, and on the add-on, let me just drag this thing down. And on the add-on, an extra $30 of risk. So risking pretty much the same amount that I was risking before, but with a larger sizing. And I'm gonna just target the same area. So I guess I should have a 1-to-1 on this add-on. So if I'm gonna make an extra 27, should probably just risk the same amount. Okay, so these are the entries. These are the stops. That's how I've decided to manage it. Nasdaq is breaking out here as well, which is nice. Might drag the Dow with it as well, but since this is the smaller entry, I'm not as bothered. However, we are at the highs of both London session and Asia session here. So this is the key moment now, because we do need to see price going above these and closing above and continuing to go forward. And there will always be some selling pressure here because of the structure, because of we are at a very key level here. So the highs of London session and Asia session are always key levels, especially since they're this nicely aligned here. So as you can see, price has stumbled here a bit. Now we have two options here. We either let it run completely or we take a bit off. I will take half off here and pretty much cut my risk in half, and I will also raise the stop loss now. I think I can just go below here. No reason to give it all back. So we're just targeting 38 now, and we have taken 25 off. So that's just to be a bit more on the safe side if we do have a strong reversal, because we are at a very key level here. But I'm still going to give it a chance to hit TP, which I think is the right thing to do. And we are pulling back just a bit on the DAX, but we are literally at all-time highs, so I'm just hoping for a little bit more here. It can definitely happen. And gold has flushed below yesterday's range, gone quite a bit below. This is why I went lower in sizing, so I could use a larger stop loss and treated this as a swing, because now I can just ride this all the way up. If we close now above previous day low, this is a very strong indication that we're going further up, and I might even add an extra position here. This is a swing trade, so my adding rules cannot be the same here. So I can't just give it 5 minutes. But from the entry point, we are up about 3 points. If we make it 5, that might be enticing. Because gold does look interesting now. Yeah, I'm going to be optimistic here. There is a case to be made to just close the Nasdaq trade, because we do look to be stumbling just a bit here. We could easily see some selling pressure, try to move price back into London range. But at the same time, we have taken half off. And we are almost 5 points in profit here. So let's just go to the 5-minute and I'll assess the situation. Okay, I'm closing the Nasdaq here. I think that's enough. I gave it some extra time, but it's a decent win on a higher sizing. And this is now well over 5 points, which was the 15-minute ATR. Yeah, I think I'll just leave. I'll just let gold do its thing. We have enough exposure. We're long on 2 positions in the DAX. We're long gold, and we are short the Dow, which is actually still in profit. So the Dow is actually the most bearish of the indices right here, which is interesting. Yeah, I'll let these play out and see what happens, and I'll bring it back. We almost hit TP here and the Dow, but not quite. So I'm just gonna lower the stop loss here. Not gonna go quite break even yet, but just risking $9 now to make 33. I think that's decent management there. And I think my exit in the Nasdaq was fine. We haven't really gone further up. I think this is a nice feature of ATR as well. You kind of get to see and compare with previous days and see that I immediately noticed that yesterday we were at a higher ATR when we opened for the US session. So it was around 32 in the middle of London session. Then it jumped to 35, 40 in the US session. Now compare that to today. 25 at most in London session. And we're now just slowly getting to 30. So this means a bit lower volatility. So you can expect lower moves as well. So we do have an attempt here in the DAX at going lower, which is a bit unfortunate, but let's just hope it still works out. If not, what can you do? With the strategy of being, oh, and we just hit TP in the Dow. Unfortunately, the Dow is kind of taking everything down as well. But still, it's a nice TP, even though it's on a lower size, because this particular entry was showing a bit more weakness than I liked. It's still a win, so I like that. Now, as you can see, I've placed the stop for my add-on right below this 5-minute bar. And I do think that we need to stay above that if we are to continue higher here. And yeah, it was a good exit in the Nasdaq. Sadly, I do think we're going to get stopped out here, so getting a bit unlucky when I add to positions. They don't really follow through, but when they do, we'll make up a lot of what we lose when they don't. Because we're essentially, and we got stopped out of the add-on, we're essentially risking the same amount when we move the stop loss, but we're adding more exposure to the position, so we're winning more the times when we're right. So I think it makes perfect sense, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it even if we get on a bad run of hitting reversals when we add. And that's just bad luck, honestly. We could have easily carried on to TP here. But let's see, we're still in the original position. We might still survive that. But if not, we're still in profit on the day, and I think we've done some really good management. So I'll pause you, and if we get stopped out, I'll show you immediately. But hopefully we can hang around here a bit and carry on the rally. Bringing you back here, so we did get stopped out in the DAX. It is a bit disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. but it doesn't really change my approach. Like I said, we lost basically the initial amount that we were risking, and we gave ourselves the chance to make more. So I will do that every single day when I see that the conditions are met for an add-on. And you might now see a run of me adding and losing when I do that, but we will also get to a point where I do this and we go on a winning streak. And that's gonna really turbocharge the winnings on the account when the winning streak happens with this type of adding strategy. So nothing we can do there, really. We don't control the price. We can only control our strategy, and I think the strategy is super sound. Now, obviously, we haven't gone below my original stop loss. The strategy calls for the stop, so basically to be long here and for the stop to be placed here. Now, when I add, I want to be more proactive with the stop because we do need to lower risk. I cannot let the original entry all the way down here, and also add another position, because when the market turns completely, you will just lose too much. So of course it can be frustrating when you get that situation, and we will get that sometimes, maybe even here today, where price won't go down to the original stop and then we'll start rallying again. But that's fine. That is the deal we agree to when we add here by using these rules. And like I said, a lot of the times you will just see price rush to your TP because we are only adding in an environment where price moves quickly in our favor. So, and it shows strength. So normally you shouldn't see that many retracements. I think we've gotten a bit unlucky both today and yesterday with that, but hopefully I'll show you some nice wins with this adding strategy soon. I'm just looking here at SPX. So we would have the break of the fourth 50-minute bar here. This isn't a fill actually, because we need to be a bit over 1 point for the cushion. So the short would be exactly at previous day high. So I'm actually gonna post that now. And a buy above the fourth 15-minute bar. Just there. I went lower sizing as well for this one. This is another entry that I've tested a lot, and it can work well, and it has worked well recently, but maybe not as good as the others. So I'm just employing lower risk to adjust, but still get into a position and have a chance at making some money if it does work, just like we had in the Dow. And the Dow keeps selling, but we haven't moved that much below where I exited. Just looking here at the DAX, it does look like this could be one of those annoying exits where you just got sniped out and price reverses. And it would have been a win in that case had you not added. But like I said, I think over time it will become clear that this strategy is profitable over time, even if you sometimes get unlucky stops. So that's the last thing I'll say about that. and now we'll focus on what we have to do here. So we retested previous day high again, and the S&P 500. It does look like it's strong support right now. So I'm going to leave the orders in place, and whatever happens, happens. I will be looking for around 13 to 14 points in profit. Again, the ATR is lower today than yesterday, so I'm not going to target the high end of the range. We have made 20 points in the past on this a couple of times, 23 points one time, but also 13 points, 14 points, 15 points. So I think going just for 13 points, the lower end in a lower ATR environment is appropriate. Gold keeps moving higher, slowly but surely, which is nice. So essentially we just don't want to see a retest of the lows here. And it does look like we are healthily back into London range here and above previous day low, so just need to hold this now on any attempt to go back down. And I think there's a very good chance we eventually reach this point. Would be nice to see. I was thinking of buying the Nasdaq when we revisited previous day high and didn't close below it, but decided to just play it a bit safer. Okay, so I'll just pause you again. Waiting for a fill here. There's a good chance we break out here, I think. And I'll just target 13 points. So let's see. And we just had the most fast drop down. Did we get some news here? We just completely reversed here all of a sudden. Let's just go on the 1 minute timer here to see it. That's some weird price action happening in the past few days. So we'll have to delete the long order now. This might have screwed us with some, I don't know, some announcement of some sort. But we are risking $42 here. I'm just gonna target, like I said, 13 points. 13 points is here. So I'm actually just gonna move the stop loss lower here. I do think that if we reach the top again, we're screwed. I think we might just have gotten super unlucky here with just a weird movement that just dumped below this level and immediately retraced back inside. It's not an hour where you usually have news. Yeah, there was nothing. Yeah, I don't see anything. It's a bit weird, a bit of a weird reaction, but we're in the position and I'm gonna hold on to it now. Risking 40 to make 37. Maybe not the greatest risk reward, but it's not bad. Yeah, I was favoring a long position here, but that was just very weird, a very weird quick dump below. I mean, look at that on the 1 minute. And now we're just as quickly returning upwards, so this actually looks quite bullish here, I'm not gonna lie. Let's see another attempt to go lower. If this fails now, I might just close this. And just consider it an unlucky fill and leave it at that. If we don't close now below at least the previous bar, yeah, I don't think we're going lower. There's clear demand at this level. Now I don't know what caused that sell, but this just doesn't inspire that much confidence. But let's see. If we close back below previous day high here, then that would make it a lot more interesting. Closed right at the level, trying to go back up. I'll do this, lowering the stop to this level, risking just 20 points, just $20. Let's see, we do look like we are attempting to go back down now, so at least I can't complain that it's just an impulse move that filled us in, because we have revisited that entry point and gone below it. So now the question is, can we close below it? I'm just gonna stay here on the 1 minute a bit and look at what price action does. Definitely interesting. Market conditions haven't really changed. And the VIX is at 15. It's just gotten lower and lower, so looking at the Nasdaq, however, we have closed on the 15-minute time frame back below previous day high. So we broke out of previous day high, closed above, then we had a bearish candle, but didn't close below. Then it was looking like we were going to attempt a breakout again, but then we just strongly rejected that and are trying to go lower now. So actually that does kind of look weak. So yeah, I'm okay with stop being here. I think it's a fine level. If we get stopped out, we would probably have lost more anyway, had I not moved it. And we are trying to go lower here, so yeah, I'm gonna keep this in place. Might be a nice trade, let's see. Gold is marching forward. I might end up regretting not adding to this one, but it was just a slow moving price action and I just didn't want to add extra exposure considering I was already in an add-on in the DAX. But yeah, so we are revisiting the lows here and we will test the London session lows, and it's going to be very relevant to see how we react to this level here, to the lows. And I think I've spoken for quite a bit in this video, so I'll pause you for now and we'll see what happens. So we have gone exactly below the London session and went back into the range, which as I've said a lot of times on this channel, and I'll keep saying that for me is a long trigger when that happens in an uptrend, especially in an uptrend. And we have been in an uptrend for quite some time. Look at the weekly outlook. So we rated the lows of Asia session, stopped some people out, and are trying to break back in. I'll keep this stop loss here for a while, but if we now close back above previous day high here on this 5-minute chart, I'll just manually exit because this is a long trigger. But if we reject it again and go back to the lows, then that is quite a strong rejection of the strategy. So that's why I'm not exiting yet. I still need to see a close back above previous day high, and basically a close back into London range. Just because we are in London range now, it doesn't mean that the reversal setup is validated. We do need a close, 5-minute bar close, or even a 15-minute bar close is what I look for. But it certainly does feel like a reversal here. So let's see, and if we just get stopped out, that's fine too. We managed our risk, lowered the stop, and we also entered on a smaller size on this entry, just because it's still a good entry, but not as good as some of the others. I think this reflects why. And gold is back in London range quite clearly here, which is nice. But I'm just not going to add to this position. I'm just going to let it run. We could easily see another retest of previous day low here before we continue going forward. So I'm not going to get caught out in an add-on. I'll pause you again. So we have had a close just above, immediately retraced above. I'm just going to give it its last chance here. If I see price going back above here, I'm out. Generally, I don't like to be too reactive. So this is why I like to give moves extra chances to complete. But this is a clear reversal setup here. However, there is still some weakness here that is visible. So, and my one advice, when you're unsure to do something, if you're unsure, it's better to do nothing. And that works for when you're in a trade or for when you're not in a trade. If you're not sure, just don't do anything. So here, I'm starting to be quite sure that we're going up, but not in a way that I want to switch to going long here. I do sometimes switch from short to long, and I think you should be ready to do that sometimes, of course, and I have no problem in switching from short to long, but I think it should be done on the very strongest of setups and on the very strongest of volumes and moves, and I just don't feel like it feels a bit like the market is itself a bit undecided here. So with that being said, obviously I will let this run into the night and into tomorrow, the gold trade, hoping to see a full beautiful reversal here, and that would be a nice win if we get it. And in terms of the SPX trade, I'm leaning towards getting out. But it's just that price really isn't that convincing. And NASDAQ is still below previous day high. So this is why I'm just not that convinced. And well, if you're not convinced, don't do anything. So I'll just leave the stop here because it's a minor stop. If it gets hit, it gets hit. We're still going to be up on the day. It's been a decent day, I think. I did good execution and respected the plan. Got some nice results, got some unlucky results as well. Or well, I'm not sure you can call this necessarily unlucky, but yeah, it would have been nice to actually get a win when we added, but we didn't. So I think that should be enough for today. I'm not gonna make this video any longer because we're already at almost an hour. So I'll let this run, whatever happens, happens. And I'll show you tomorrow. So if you like this video and these types of videos, please be kind enough to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I am posting videos daily, trying to show you a mechanical, controlled, disciplined method to trading, to passing prop firm challenges, to growing your account. I will be making some very specific videos on my strategy as well very soon. So if you want to be notified when that happens, be sure to be subscribed. And with that, I will say goodbye to you now, and we'll be ready for trading more with you tomorrow for the EU session. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.